G'day guys, currently in quarantine in Bangkok, and it's a great chance to create a few more videos, and this video is about the flow state. I wanted to create this video because I feel that there's a big misconception about what it means to enter the flow state. I see this in the New Age spiritual community a lot, a community of which I find myself to be part of. And I think the understanding of the flow state is that it's something that anyone can just enter at any time, and it's something to be encouraged. But the way it's encouraged is as though all you need to do is give up responsibility, give up focusing on where you need to be in the future, and just completely live that moment, enter the flow, see what comes, and it's a magical state to be in. I think there's a big misunderstanding here about the flow state. Now, I believe that one can enter the flow state. I do believe it is something like a magical experience, but the way to get there is very different than what the conventional understanding says. So in this video, I'm going to share what I've learned about how to enter the flow state. I believe that these three key things are what's needed to really enter this flow state in a very powerful way, and in a way that can be directed so that you can become extraordinarily productive and also very creative. So once I share those three key things on how to enter the flow state, I'm then going to share a few thoughts about the collective flow state, which happens when different groups of people are united by something and enter the flow state together, and then collectively create something very powerful that also is something that feels like magic. So the way I understand the flow state is that it happens when we're exercising something called intuitive expertise. So we need to enter this flow state when we're doing something where we've built up a lot of expertise in. Often this is referred to as practicing something for 10,000 hours. But it could be a range of different things. It's when we've fully learned the system, we've fully learned the processes, we've done things over and over so that we can do things with a lot of expertise, but we can do it without thinking about it anymore. Because what happens then is that neural networks have built in the brain learning patterns that the brain just taps into, so that if we lose ourselves in the moment and just really lose this sense of time, that we're actually drawing upon things that we're really good at. So the brain subconsciously just knows how to take over the operation of what's going on. And this is what I feel is often not so well understood by many people, particularly in the New Age spiritual community, who say just enter the flow, because they like to do things that just feel good, as opposed to really drawing upon this intuitive expertise that we have built up in so many different areas. So firstly, the way to do this is, first of all, we need something that we've built up a lot of expertise in. So this could be those 10,000 hours. It could be something like playing a violin. We've learned how to play a violin. We've played so many different songs so that all of these patterns are just etched into our brain. The next thing that we need is a very clear goal. So we want to enter into maybe playing the violin with a goal to actually achieve something, to do something with it. So it might be to create a new piece of music. Thirdly, we then need to lose our sense of time. Now, this often happens when we do something that brings us a lot of joy. So it's essential that the thing that we've built up this expertise in, where we've built up all of these neural networks inside the brain, all of these learning patterns, actually the performance of those actions every day. So along the course of building up these 10,000 hours, you've had a lot of joy in just doing this thing over and over, playing the violin, practicing, failing, coming up against barriers, breaking through, learning new things. That's been an enjoyable experience for the whole process of getting to this point where you've become a real, genuine expert in playing the violin or whatever the case may be. So then we need, in that moment, we've got the intuitive expertise, we've got everything built up inside the head. We then need a clear goal, so we're trying to do something. We then need to really be enjoying it so much that we completely lose the sense of time. Now, when this happens, that's when we're not thinking so much about what we're doing. The goal is there, that's guiding what we're trying to achieve, but something else kicks in, something else takes over. Now, I'm no neuroscientist, so I could just be using these words the way any layman would, but the subconscious takes over. That's what the flow state is. But it's really important to know that we're entering that state by drawing upon 10,000 hours of practice, systems that have been built up and etched inside the brain. But by losing sense of time, we don't rely on those systems anymore. So the subconscious is reconfiguring those systems themselves so that whatever comes out isn't necessarily the exact process that we've learned before. It's something completely new. That for me is what the flow state is. That's what it means to draw upon intuitive expertise. It is an incredible place to be. I know in my own life, I feel like I enter this every single day when I'm writing articles for IdeaPod, or sometimes even creating videos. I find myself just losing myself in what I'm trying to communicate, especially if I'm communicating something that I've thought deeply about. Then it's a beautiful place to be. It's a really exciting thing. But the thing I think many people don't realize is the amount of practice it takes to build up that intuitive expertise deep within. I'm about to share another example from my own life of entering this flow state, and then I'm going to share what I think it means to enter the collective flow state, which is an incredibly powerful experience between two or more people. But first, I want to show you this sunset over Bangkok. It's really beautiful. Very inspiring, and it's a good place to talk about the flow state because I feel that intuitive expertise is incredibly important, but so is the environment that we're in. I think that when we're focused on something with that intuitive expertise, having a very clear goal, directed action, but we're in such a beautiful environment, that can also help to induce this flow state. So the example of the flow state that I want to share from my own life is when I write, and it doesn't happen all the time. So quite often I'm writing and I'm not completely immersed in it, and I'm just doing it to get the job done because I'm trying to achieve different things. But every now and then I'm writing something that really speaks to my heart at a very deep level, so it's really aligned with my purpose in life. I feel like I'm creating something important that is going to help other people, and then sometimes I lose sense of time. I enter something where I'm incredibly hyper focused, and I actually start making a really funny sound. So it's a pretty funny thing. My brothers and my family tease me for it. I've got my headphones on and I start making this sound as I'm writing, and I'm never aware that I'm doing it, and I know that if they're laughing in the background, I sort of snap out of it and I realize what's going on. But I realize that there's a few key things that are happening when I enter this state, and I do think that the writing is of a much better quality. Often I've got my headphones on and I've got this playlist. I call it my inspiring playlist, and these are all songs that they sort of move me from my guts up whenever I hear it. Whenever I hear a song that has that impact on me, I Shazam it. So I'm not a music buff, I don't really know the names of many artists or anything, but I just add songs to this playlist, and I put it on and it induces the state. So having that around is really important. I think being in beautiful environments, that helps, but it's not super essential for me, and being in noisy environments helps a lot. So I've started to just keep track of what happens, and I try to get into those situations more and more. But I'm also really aware that not having a boss is essential for me. So whenever there's some sort of situation where someone's issuing commands or I'm expected to do things by someone else, I lose it. I completely lose that connection with the flow state. So I've learned that about myself as well. So that's just my experience of it. I'd love to know about your experience of the flow state. So let me know in the comments below, and jump into the comments and let's learn from each other about this beautiful state. Now I'll share a bit more about the collective flow state. I think there's this thing called the collective flow state. I experience this quite often with my brothers who I work with, and also Huda Yande, he's a shaman in Brazil who I also work with, and we're all very creative together. But in our cases, we don't have any hierarchy and we don't have any bureaucracy. So we're three very unique and strong individuals. We develop our own goals that come from our own values. It so happens that our values are very aligned. Even though we don't spend time talking about this, we just know that. That's why we've gravitated towards working with each other. We like to create things that help others. I think that we've got a similar kind of ideology about life and creativity. So it's quite natural for us to try to create things together. Now, what's really interesting is that we're all very different people with very different skills. And what I like about the way we work together is that we don't try to force ourselves on the other. I mean, at times it might happen where we try to create things in a certain way, but because we're all so strong, we kind of come up against a brick wall, and we've learned to respect each other's creativity. So what I think happens is that at times, our goals start to lock in where it's a joint goal, but we're each bringing our own creativity and our own intuitive expertise that's very different, and yet it largely crosses over. And I think what happens there, at some key moments, and it's not all the time, is that we all just get really excited with our joint projects and things just happen in a really wonderful and beautiful way. So an example with Huda are IdeaPod's masterclasses, that we get these key moments when we get really excited about what we're creating, and there's something that we're really proud of. For sure, they could be improved in so many different ways, and in fact, because it takes a while to create them, we look back on them and we know there's so many things we can do better. But at the time, we give it our very best effort with everything we've got, and we each lose ourselves and we create something larger than ourselves. Now, that's a fairly trivial example. I think there are more profound examples, like sports teams on the football field. Australian football, a sport that I love. The best teams, they've got the system completely embedded in their brains. They've practiced it over and over. But once they've got that expertise built in, then they're able to just become very intuitive, very instinctive on the football field. They're encouraged to play without thinking because they all know how to play their roles. And the thing that's created is incredibly beautiful. Now, a more sophisticated example would be an orchestra, even a jazz orchestra. So where you've got all the rules, the system's strongly embedded, but you're encouraged to break them in the moment and to let your instinctiveness just unleash. And I think that that's when really beautiful bits of music can be created in collective concert. So I feel that one of the most powerful experiences is to enter the collective flow state with large groups of people. Sports teams and orchestras are great examples of it, but I think when you can do this with a tribe, with a group of people, with a shared goal, particularly in a work environment, I mean, that's incredible, because we get so much of our meaning of life from the work that we do, because the work we do is what we create to give things to others. So that's what I think about the collective flow state. These are my jumbled and rambled thoughts about it. I just really wanted to share this right now. If you find this useful, please do subscribe. Please do hit the like button. These help a lot to get these videos spreading around YouTube, and leave a comment below. Let me know about your experience of entering the flow state so we can learn from each other. See you in the next video.